For centuries, the Galactic Council believed humanity was gone. In their records, humans were listed as a strange footnote, a species that rose fast, struggled hard, and then vanished without leaving a clear trace. Many council members thought of humans as a warning story told to frighten young civilizations. A species from a harsh world, too violent, too unstable, doomed to destroy itself. David had read those records many times. He worked in the archive wing, a quiet place filled with old data cores and fading star maps. Most days were dull. He checked system logs, verified translations, and confirmed that ancient warnings stayed properly labeled as myths. That was his job, to keep history neat and harmless. Lauren worked beside him. She handled sensor reports from the outer regions of known space. She was calm, careful, and not easily shaken by rumors or strange readings. That morning, however, she was staring at her display for a long time without speaking. David noticed the silence. "Something wrong?" he asked. Lauren slowly turned her screen so he could see it. The data was old and new at the same time. A signal pattern had been detected near the galactic fringe, far beyond common travel routes. At first glance it looked like background noise. But the structure beneath the noise was familiar. Too familiar. David felt a small chill. "That can't be right," he said. "That pattern was marked obsolete." Lauren nodded. "That's what I thought. But the match rate is too high to ignore." The pattern matched ancient human communication signals. Not modern ones, not the kind used by current species, but something older. Something that matched the early human era before their disappearance. David leaned back in his chair. The council said those signals were theoretical. "They said many things," Lauren replied quietly. They checked again. The sensors had not malfunctioned. The signal repeated at steady intervals, calm and controlled. It was not a distress call. It was not a weapon system. It was not random. It was a beacon. As word spread through the archive level, other analysts gathered. Some laughed nervously. Others argued that the data must be corrupted. A few simply watched in silence, their faces tense. The oldest records spoke of humanity as survivors of impossible worlds. High gravity, violent weather, dangerous predators. A planet that tried to kill them every day. According to the myths, humans learned patience there. Endurance, planning. They did not rush into space as conquerors. They prepared. Most scholars believed that part was fiction. David had always wondered why the human records were sealed instead of erased. Lauren brought up another file. "This wasn't the first signal," she said. "It's just the first one we noticed." She showed him a map. Faint marks dotted the outer regions of the galaxy. Old sensor pings that had been dismissed decades ago as errors. When connected, they formed a loose ring. A watch line. David swallowed. They were watching. Lauren nodded. Or waiting. An emergency session of the Galactic Council was called within hours. Representatives from dozens of species appeared as glowing projections around the chamber. The mood was tense, filled with disbelief and fear. Some demanded immediate military action. Others argued the signals meant nothing. A few elders, those who remembered the old stories, stayed silent. David and Lauren were brought in to present their findings. David spoke slowly, choosing simple words. He explained the pattern, the consistency, the age of the signal design. "This matches early human systems," he said. "Not their final era. Their quiet era." A council member interrupted. "Humans destroyed themselves. Everyone knows this." Lauren answered instead. "No confirmed record shows that. Only assumptions." Another voice spoke. "Why hide for so long?" David hesitated before answering. "Maybe they were afraid," he said. "Or maybe they were patient." The chamber grew quieter. One elder finally spoke. "The old warnings never said humans were cruel," she said. "They said humans were careful." The signal repeated again while the council argued. Calm, steady, unchanging. It did not demand attention. It did not threaten. It simply existed. That frightened many more than a weapon ever could. Later, back in the archive wing, David reviewed a restricted file he had never been allowed to open before. The system unlocked it automatically, as if responding to the signal itself. Inside was a single line, written in simple human language and translated long ago. "If you find this, it means we were right to wait." David stared at the words for a long time. Lauren stood beside him. "They knew someone would notice eventually," she said. "Yes," David replied. "And they wanted us to." Outside the station, far beyond known space, the beacon continued its quiet pulse. It did not announce a return. It did not ask permission. It simply reminded the galaxy of something it had chosen to forget. Humanity had never vanished. They had only been listening. Her eyes moved quickly. She had been doing this work for years. Watching. Listening. Waiting. They're panicking, Emily said at last. James did not turn. Who isn't? She tapped the screen and brought up a wide display. Signals filled the space. Fleet movements, emergency meetings, coded messages passing between alien governments. Ships were being armed. Borders were closing. Old alliances were breaking. All of them, she said. They think the beacon means invasion. James gave a small smile. Of course they do. The beacon had been active for only a short time, but its effect had spread fast. The galaxy had built its peace on forgetting humanity. Now that forgetting was no longer possible. Emily leaned back. Funny thing is, she said, we didn't change anything. No, James replied. We just stopped hiding. The station hummed softly as systems woke from long sleep. Power flowed into dormant arrays. Sensors expanded their reach. Defensive fields activated without noise or light. Not weapons. Not yet. Just readiness. A message icon blinked on Emily's screen. She opened the channel. Michael appeared as a calm image, seated in another station far away. His background looked similar. Dim lights, simple controls, stars beyond glass. Status check, Michael said. All quiet here, Emily replied. But the galaxy is loud. Michael nodded. Same everywhere. Jessica joined the call a moment later. She looked tired but focused. Council fleets are moving, she said. They're forming lines near old human border zones. James turned from the window. Borders we stopped using centuries ago. Exactly, Jessica said. They think we're coming back to reclaim something. Emily shook her head. We never left anything behind. Michael leaned forward. The question is whether they'll listen before someone fires. Silence followed. It was not fear that filled it but patience. James spoke at last. Humanity never intended to scare them. But fear was always there. We just reminded them of it. Emily checked another report. Some worlds are calling for preemptive strikes. They think silence means planning. Jessica sighed. They don't understand us. No, James said calmly. They never tried. The monitoring station received another internal signal. A green indicator appeared. Another outpost had come online. Then another. Then dozens more spread across the stars, all quiet, all unseen. Humanity's old network was waking up. Michael watched the data scroll. It's strange, he said. After all this time it feels normal. Emily smiled faintly. Because this is what we were built for. Long ago humanity learned a hard lesson. Survival did not always mean striking first. Sometimes it meant stepping back. Letting others grow. Letting the galaxy think it was alone. They built watchers instead of empires. Stations instead of fleets. Eyes instead of banners. James remembered the training. The long years of learning restraint. Never interfere unless needed. Never rule. Never threaten. Protect quietly. A sharp alert sounded, then faded. Emily checked it. False alarm, she said. A council drone crossed into sensor range and pulled back fast. James nodded. They're testing shadows. They won't find much, Jessica said. We designed it that way. Michael's expression grew serious. But if they push too far. James finished the thought. Then we remind them why the old warnings existed. The station lights dimmed slightly as power shifted. Far beneath the hull, systems capable of impossible feats remained silent. They had never been meant for conquest. Only for balance. Emily looked out at the stars. Do you think they'll ever forgive us for scaring them? James considered the question. Fear fades, he said. Understanding takes longer. Jessica tilted her head. And trust. James answered honestly. Trust is earned. Slowly. Another message arrived, this one marked priority. Emily opened it and read silently. What is it? Michael asked. The council, Emily said. They're asking if humanity intends to speak. James exhaled slowly. And? They're afraid of the answer. James stepped closer to the console. We'll respond, he said. But not yet. Jessica nodded. Let them calm down first. Let them remember, Michael added. Outside the station, the stars continued their quiet motion. No fleets approached. No weapons fired. Humanity did not rush to the center of attention. They waited. Across the galaxy, leaders stared at empty space and wondered where humanity was hiding its power. They did not realize that humanity was not hiding at all. It was watching. learning, waiting, and ready, if the galaxy truly needed them again. Across the galaxy, fear moved faster than truth. Rumors spread from system to system, changing shape as they went. Some said humanity had returned with hidden fleets. Others claimed human weapons could erase stars. Old myths were taken as facts, and facts were ignored. The idea settled into many minds that humanity's return meant war. Fleets began to move. Warships left their docks in long lines, their engines bright against the dark. Defense grids powered up around important worlds. Councils met day and night, arguing over maps and predictions. Every signal from deep space was treated as a threat. Daniel watched it all from a small analysis chamber beneath the Galactic Council hall. He worked with Ashley, a fellow researcher who specialized in ancient interspecies records. Unlike many others, they did not shout or panic. They read. "These movements don't make sense," Ashley said, pointing at a display. "If humanity planned an invasion, they would already be everywhere." Daniel nodded. "Instead, they're still." He brought up older files, ones rarely accessed. Human doctrines from before their disappearance. Most had been labeled outdated or symbolic. Daniel opened them anyway. The words were simple. Prepare quietly. Avoid unnecessary conflict. Act only when the cost of inaction is greater than intervention. Ashley frowned. That doesn't sound like conquest. No, Daniel agreed. It sounds like restraint. They dug deeper. Reports from early encounters described humans as calm even when threatened. They defended themselves, but they did not chase victory. They ended fights when possible. They withdrew when the danger passed. They were afraid of something, Ashley said slowly. Daniel found another file, heavily restricted. It spoke of an ancient event, older than most living species. A collapse caused not by war but by panic. A chain reaction of fear, preemptive strikes, and misunderstandings that destroyed entire regions of space. At the bottom of the file was a note. Observed by human watchers. Daniel looked at Ashley. They've seen this before. Before Ashley could answer, an alert sounded across the council network. A new signal had appeared. This one was different. It was direct. Not a beacon. Not a background pulse. A message. Councils froze mid-argument as the signal was routed to every major chamber. Defensive systems paused, waiting for orders that did not come. The image resolved slowly. A human stood at the center of the projection. He wore simple clothing, no armor, no symbols of power. His posture was relaxed. His expression was calm. "This is John," the human said. His voice was steady, clear, and unthreatening. "I am speaking on behalf of humanity." Many expected demands. Some expected threats. None came. "We are aware of your fear," John continued. "We understand why you believe we have returned to take control." He paused, letting the silence grow. "That belief is wrong." Whispers spread through the chambers. John raised one hand slightly. "Humanity is not here to rule the galaxy. We have no interest in your worlds, your governments, or your borders." Confusion replaced fear in many faces. "Then why reveal yourselves now?" a council member asked. John nodded once. "Because something old is happening again." Daniel felt his chest tighten. Ashley leaned forward. "There is a pattern forming," John said. "Fear. Assumptions. Fleets moving without understanding. We have seen where this leads." A council voice snapped back. "You expect us to trust you?" "No," John replied honestly. "We expect you to think." The chamber grew quiet. "We hid for a long time," John said. "Not because we were weak, but because the galaxy needed time to grow without us shaping it. Now that growth is at risk." Ashley whispered, "He's right." John continued, "Stand down your fleets. Open your records. Look at what actually happened in the past, not what you were told." A few council members protested. Others hesitated. Daniel stood before he realized he was moving. "The human records match our oldest collapse files," he said loudly. "They were witnesses, not causes." Silence followed. Then questions. Many questions. John answered them all with patience. He spoke of restraint, of watching instead of ruling, of preparing for disasters no one else remembered. "We are here to prevent repetition," he said at last. "Not to become your enemy." The transmission ended as simply as it began. No threats. No warnings. No demands. Across the galaxy, fleets slowed. Some stopped. Others waited for new orders that did not arrive. Ashley leaned back, stunned. "That was it?" Daniel nodded. "That was everything." Fear did not vanish at once. But something else appeared in its place. Doubt. And for the first time since the beacon activated, the galaxy began to question whether humanity had ever been the threat at all. The galaxy did not fall into peace all at once. Fear faded slowly, like a long night turning into morning. Fleets did not vanish overnight. Councils did not suddenly agree. But something changed. The shouting stopped. The weapons stayed quiet. And in the space between panic and calm, humanity went to work. James stood at the central console of the monitoring station, watching dozens of systems at once. Lines of data moved calmly across the screen. Power grids, star paths, unstable regions of space that had been ignored for centuries. Emily worked beside him, her voice low and steady as she spoke into a secure channel. "Reroute the field," she said. "Slow and smooth. Don't let them see the source." A distant system responded. A failing star stabilized, its dangerous energy flare reduced before it could tear nearby colonies apart. To the local species, it would look like a natural correction. A lucky break. James nodded. That's the third collapse avoided this week. Emily allowed herself a small smile. No one will ever know. That's the point, James replied. Across the galaxy, similar moments unfolded. Human outposts adjusted gravity fields near cracking planets. Silent probes guided drifting stations away from radiation storms. Ancient machines, left behind by long-dead civilizations, were shut down before they could awaken fully. No banners were raised. No announcements made. Humanity did not arrive with fleets. They arrived with tools. David sat alone in the archive wing, surrounded by glowing data panels. His task was different but just as important. He reviewed centuries of history, comparing fear-filled stories with newly unlocked human records. The differences were clear. Where the old records spoke of destruction, the new ones showed prevention. Where myths claimed domination, the truth showed restraint. Humanity had stepped in many times before, quietly stopping disasters and then stepping back into shadow. David updated the files carefully. He removed words like extinct and anomaly. He replaced them with neutral terms. Observer, guardian, witness. Each change felt heavy. Lauren stood nearby watching. "You're rewriting history," she said. David shook his head. "I'm restoring it." Some council members resisted the updates. Fear does not like being corrected. But evidence piled up. Stabilized systems. Saved worlds. Events that should have ended in disaster but did not. Questions followed. Who stopped the chain reaction near the Red Verge? Why did the ancient weapon network go silent? How did 3 collapsing trade hubs survive impossible odds? No official answers came. James and Emily coordinated quietly with Michael, Jessica, and others. Human networks shared information faster than any known system. They did not argue or compete. Each station knew its role. Emily watched a star map shift into balance. "They're beginning to notice patterns," she said. James nodded. "They always do. Eventually. But they still don't see us," Emily added. James looked at her. "Do you want them to?" She thought for a moment. "Not yet." In the council chambers, discussions changed tone. Leaders spoke less of invasion and more of coincidence. Some admitted in private that humanity's calm frightened them more than any weapon. Patience is unsettling when you don't understand it. David attended a closed session to explain his findings. He spoke simply without blame. Humanity prepared for disasters long before the galaxy believed they were possible, he said. They remembered what others forgot. An elder asked quietly, "Why help us after we feared them for so long?" David answered honestly. Because fear was never the enemy. Forgetting was. Outside known space, a dormant structure finally powered down, its threat neutralized without a single shot fired. A catastrophe that could have ended millions of lives faded into nothing. James felt the station relax as the system stabilized. "That was the last major risk on our list," he said. Emily leaned back. For now. They knew more dangers would come. The galaxy was young and full of mistakes. Humanity had made them once too. Across the stars, records slowly changed. Not all at once. But enough. The galaxy began to understand a simple truth. Humanity's greatest strength was not force. It was patience. It was memory. It was the decision to prepare for the worst, quietly, long before anyone else believed it was coming. The galaxy did not celebrate when the truth became clear. There were no great ceremonies, no songs, no grand announcements. Understanding arrived quietly, settling into minds like dust after a long storm. Humanity had never vanished. And their return had never been a threat. Fleets that once crowded borders slowly powered down. Warships returned to docks without firing a single shot. Defense grids dimmed, their purpose forgotten almost as soon as fear released its grip. Councils met less often. When they did, their voices were lower, thoughtful instead of sharp. The panic was over. James watched the change from the same quiet station where it had begun. Outside the window, space looked no different than before. Stars did not care about fear or relief. They simply endured. Emily stood beside him, reading the final reports. "They're standing down," she said. "Almost all of them." James nodded. "Good. You sound relieved," she said. "I am," he replied. "It means we did our job." Across human outposts, similar scenes played out. Systems that had been fully active began to power down again. Sensors returned to low-energy states. Networks reduced their presence until they were once more part of the background. Michael sent a short message. Threat level normalized. Jessica followed with another. No further intervention needed. Humanity did not hold meetings to declare victory. There was nothing to win. They simply returned to what they had always done best. Watching. Waiting. In the archive wing, David closed the final file. The updated records were now official. Humanity was no longer described as a mystery or a danger. They were listed as a constant presence, a species that stepped back so others could step forward. Lauren looked over his shoulder. "Do you think they'll forget again?" she asked. David considered the question. "Eventually," he said. "That's how the galaxy works." "And humanity?" Lauren asked. "They won't," David replied. That was the difference. On distant worlds, leaders struggled with a strange feeling. They were safe yet unsettled. Humanity had proven they could act without being seen. That knowledge stayed even as fear faded. Some protectors did not build walls. They removed threats before anyone noticed them. James and Emily received one final message marked internal. It was short and familiar. Return to passive status. Emily smiled. Back to silence. James nodded. Back to guardianship. The station lights dimmed. Systems fell quiet. From the outside, the station once again looked like nothing more than drifting debris. Exactly as designed. Far away, young civilizations continued to grow, unaware of how close they had come to disaster. They would make mistakes. They always did. And when they did, humanity would be there, not to rule, not to judge, but to ensure the galaxy survived its own fear. The stars did not remember humanity as conquerors. They remembered them as the ones who waited. The ones who prepared. The ones who protected best by being almost invisible.